Perfect. All right. Bleeves, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Real quick to the subscribers, to my subs there for watching, guys. I definitely recommend you check out Bleeves' channel. It's not just education, but it's extremely entertaining as well. One of my go-to channels for sure. How many times a day do you stream?
8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Yeah, I love catching them. One of like I said, one of my favorite channels for sure, absolutely to go to, since I found you there. And yeah, so if it's cool with you, I'll put the link to your channel in the description so people can come on over and check it out.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
And I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Oh, no worries, bro. You know what? I was trying to say at the end of the last video we got cut off that I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk with me
Yeah.
and my people and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
so I was kind of hoping we could chat about a couple of things today. Obviously, I want to get an update on Bencoin. I remember you did a video a couple of weeks ago on Jasmy, and
Yeah.
I found it was a very I liked it because it was very neutral. It was very like down the center. It wasn't Moon Boy and it wasn't FUD. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so my audience is heavy Caspa and heavy Jasmy. Like they can't get enough of it for some reason, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'd like to get like your thoughts on Jasmy as a project, like where you think it's going, like what your thoughts are on it, just briefly, based on your memory from your video and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess um, I don't understand completely how GhostRad is, and that's what they're using. It's called the GhostRad protocol. I don't understand how that really helps me or improves everything because what it's doing is it's spreading the data out among blockchains, and then it allows you to refer to each blockchain for data. So I don't understand how that makes it better security wise, but it makes it faster because there's different ways to store data, and basically GhostRat is a proof of history concept that's just been slightly altered to upscale settlement times and efficiency. So I think that people are going to like Jasmy and Caspa both because they're proof of work, and proof of work basically at this level of the game means security to a lot of people. And so I would just I would think that for me, Jasmy and Caspa for that matter, they represent an opportunity to catch what you missed before, and that was the ride that is Bitcoin. So most people think that they're getting in at the bottom of something that's going to have that big Bitcoin moment. I mean, spoiler alert, it's not going to happen,
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean that there's not going to be some wild price action and some incredible opportunities that you're going to get because of that. So, you know,
100%. I agree. Um, Expectations get a little high sometimes on certain projects, and like you see so many people saying, well, this is the next Bitcoin, that's the next Bitcoin. It's almost like every single layer one that comes out, people are like, oh, it's the next Bitcoin, right? And
right.
it's no, it's not. It's its own thing. And like you said, the gains will be good, the ROI will be good, but in some cases fantastic. The CASP has been absolutely crazy lately.
It's a fantastic number. Jasmine will have the same run. I mean, they're both going to have, they're both going to have incredible runs. So, I just, there's there's some pieces to it that I don't think that this market, I think that if there's any issue, it's going to be that the market will not bear what people would like to see happen with some of these. But generally speaking, this is going to be a great opportunity. I guess that's the best you can say. It's going to be a great opportunity. I just people don't understand that that it can only go so high.
Yeah,
I'm going to get ahead of myself if I start talking about what's going on in the market, what's going on in the future.
I was going
So
to ask you that.
yeah. Um, well, I mean, let's. I mean, do you mind talking about it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
So um, the future of crypto is, 95% of everything that we have is not going to last, right? We know that because it just can't. So the question then becomes, well, what can happen? And the most likely thing to happen is, and this is not necessarily a conspiracy. This is not necessarily a conspiracy. This is just banks want in, and the banks do what the SEC wants. And the SEC does what those in power want. And there's a synergistic sort of circle right there. And that synergistic sort of circle is not deliberately conspiratorial, but it will mean that Binance, they're out. They're not going to make it.
Agreed.
Crypto.com, maybe. They're flying under the radar. They're kind of moving to Singapore. They're changing their game. Coinbase is they're putting their feet in the ground. They are holding tight and they are refusing to budge. They will probably migrate into a bank, if you will. I think that's what happens ultimately. The only people that'll be allowed to sell cryptocurrency going forward will end up being exchanges, but there'll be exchanges that are approved, and most of them that will get approved will end up being banks. The banks will then decide Bitcoin, yes. Ethereum, yes. BNB, nah. The layer twos, it depends on their compliance level. Will they be part of it? And the place that you will go to buy your cryptocurrency is, basically you're going to pull up your Chase Bank app, and you can buy cryptocurrency through your Chase Bank app or your Robinhood app or something like that. There'll be a limited number of places that you'll be able to buy. A lot of stuff will come through DeFi, but DeFi will start to get bastardized in very quick order, because we haven't seen the next step for cryptocurrency is mergers and acquisitions, and we really haven't seen mergers and acquisitions yet in the crypto space. We see it lightly every once in a while, and we hear about it in the bear market, but we don't really get what the real deal is. And the real deal is mergers and acquisitions are coming. Most of the blockchain and layer twos on the blockchain, they have no use case. There's no reason for them to exist. They will fade away and they'll get absorbed, and those holders will become Ethereum holders. Those holders will become, maybe some other layer twos will step up. But if you're a layer 0 or a layer 1, and Polkadot's the only layer 0 right now of any sort of note, but if you're a layer 0 or layer 1, you might be safe. So if you're Ethereum, if you're Bitcoin, you're golden. If you're, I want to say Caspa, you're going to be maybe golden. As you go down the line, Luna might, it might survive Duquan. Luna Classic, maybe, maybe not. Crypto.com will have a purpose and a function. The base chain will probably move away from being a layer 2 into a layer 1 at some point, because out of necessity. But then we're going to have a much reduced supply of different cryptocurrencies, and there'll be startup companies and there'll be different cryptos that come along. But what we're seeing right now, let's face it, if you look at the top 10 in 20, I want to say 2013, 10 years ago. If you look at the top 10 cryptos 10 years ago, only one of them is still there, or two of them, I think. Litecoin and Bitcoin. The other 8, gone. And not just gone, but dead, gone. And then you do the same thing. Do what?
Was that one of them?
Litecoin?
No, XRP. Wasn't that one of them too?
No, XRP came along in like 2017, 2018, same time as around the same time as Ethereum.
Oh, right. Ripple was around, but not XRP.
Ripple, exactly. Ripple was around, but Ripple was still trying to get their feet wet, so to speak. They were offering securities in 2015 to institutions and commodity offerings to individuals and private citizens. But none of that stuff existed. And then you even go back to 2017, 2018. Very few still exist. So we're in a society where these things don't last very long, and the ones that do are the ones that we should be protecting and working through. So I think that that's what we're going to see. We're going to see banks kind of take over crypto. We're going to see some centralized exchanges become banks or become online banking institutions that are compliant with the Fed. And I think that's what the future holds for crypto. And we're going to have far less options when it comes down to it.
Oh yeah, and another factor I was thinking too was like before that even happens, like I try to tell a lot of my listeners that they say, well, I'm going to buy H bar and I'm going to hold it for 10 years. And I try to tell them like, while that's fine for you, and I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money, but at the same time, every 4 years in the cycle, right, we get more companies that come out that are more advanced, like layer ones that are more advanced than the generation before it, right? So it's a lot of these get faded out just on that basis.
Yes.
Like Dash and all these other coins that were in the top 10 before, they're still around, but no one's buying them, right?
That's exactly right. We don't have what people are hoping for is they're hoping for, again, Caspa, Jasmine. We're all hoping we find the next big one on a blockchain. We thought we had it with Phantom. We thought we had it with BNB. We thought we had it with each and every one of them. And you can make an argument that those are the gold standards anyway. So if you're in on Caspa early, or if you're in on Jasmine early, then you're probably going to make a bunch of money. Like you would think, reasonably speaking, that there would be a certain quote unquote expectation of profit when it comes to a blockchain. But let's also not forget that there are growing pains, and the one thing that you can point to start off with is the newest blockchain out there, not any of that is just doing something. Shibarium. Shibarium has minimal transactions every day. We have the huge community of SHIB people, but very few transactions. And you can always ask the question, why is that? And uh, blockchains rely on retail, and unless you have a market that's built in, then what are you going to do? Unless you're Chainlink, you can resort to businesses, or Ripple, you can resort to businesses. But for a retail standpoint, which is where the meat and potatoes of most of these cryptos that are blockchains are, that's where it comes from, and there's no retail out there. So what do you do other than just sit tight, hold on for dear life, and just wait, because the time is coming, just not here yet.
I made a good return on SHIB in the last bull run. I think it's still got some life in it for the next bull run, but like you were saying, people aren't really buying it for transactions and stuff like that at this point for the use of Shibarium, not the retail majority, anyways.
No, not at all. It's at this point, a lot of people will consider and talk about it like it isn't, but at this point, it's basically just a speculative asset with no function or traditional use case. And the only argument that you can make is, well, yeah, but what about Shibarium? Well, yeah, that's a use case for Bone.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't really have, it's nothing yet. It's still, still to this day, it's nothing yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that they're working on projects. I remember they launched an NFT project in the last bull run, and
Yeah.
and I think I don't know if they're still trying to do the metaverse thing. I know they were trying in SHIB to launch a metaverse or something like that, but I don't know if that's
Yeah,
died.
the SHIB metaverse, yeah.
I like
But the question is always that the question is always, what is first of all, if you wanted a SHIB punks, I think it was called Shiba Punk or something like that. If you wanted one of those, you had to be a leash holder too.
Yeah.
So, you all you SHIB, like many of these other ones, they will run. But when you break it down to a function, when you break it down to a use, SHIB is nothing more than a fun thing.
Yeah.
It's not a use. Bone is a use, and Bone could have, it could break out and it could have a run just like BNB. It could end up being something along those lines. It has, I think, 50 million more tokens than BNB. And, at some point they'll be burning those tokens. They've renounced the contract. They've done everything they needed to do to give it a chance to grow, except burn tokens. And the burn for SHIB is entirely underwhelming at this point. And nobody in SHIB has ever promised you any kind of huge burns or anything like that. Everybody's been speculating on, mathematically speaking, based on this sort of volume, based on this number of people who are using it, based on blah 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 blah, this could happen. And even I did that. I was, like, if we have 2 million wallets that are sitting here, then why wouldn't we have just an incredible amount of transactions per day? When you make 2 or 3 transactions per day per wallet, that could be millions of transactions. That's a lot of money. And guess what? There's less than 10,000 transactions per day on Shibarium.
Yeah.
So
I like to draw a parallel to Jasmy Chain and Shibarium.
yeah,
Very, very similar, because from what I understand about what's happening with Jasmy, it's very, because when they first announced the layer 2, they were talking about, there was this FUD or whatever going around that they were doing a coin migration, right? And then I had done a interview video with one of the ambassadors for Jasmy, and he's, no, that's not the goal here. The only time you would really use, from my understanding, like a V2, so to speak, is if you're actually using it on the layer 2 for transactions, which is where their wallet's going to be, right? For your data democracy or data monetization, sorry. And they would pay you in that. And from my understanding, you would stake your V1 coins to get the same amount on Jasmy Chain to be able to use them for transactions. But if
yeah.
you're holding Jasmy over on Binance or Coinbase or wherever, you don't have to swap them out for a V2 or anything like that, from my understanding. So that's more.
Well,
Or go ahead.
yeah, Jasmine suffers from a language barrier at this point because, this is Sony guys, right? They don't really care about this project in the way that we care about the project. They don't care about it as a crypto. They care about it. To give you an example, sometimes in society going forward, we're going to have SHA 256 protocols, blockchains that are going to do a whole bunch of different stuff, but they're not going to have coins. They're just going to be used for holding and storing data. And I think Jasmy, even though it has a coin, those guys are more interested in the function and the technology and the uses by which they can create this chain, not in pumping the token. They're not worried about the price. They're not worried. They don't care about those kind of things. Now, they did burn some tokens because they do have just recently somebody who's kind of overseeing it. But I mean, until 6 months ago, the white paper was in Japanese.
Yeah.
They didn't even have an English translation. So you have to take a step back and realize that what you want out of Jasmy right now is not what they want, the developers, out of Jasmy. So at some point that changes, and they'll start to lean into the coin as a means. But for now, they're just worried. These are the cool thing is that there's a lot of guys with a lot of money that are doing a lot of things in blockchain. And eventually those things will start to shake out and turn into big, profitable corporations and companies. Imagine, if you will, what's the value on Jasmy if the whole purpose behind it is to create a functioning ecosystem for games in a PS6. Isn't that where we're on? We would be on a PS6.
Yep.
What if that's the purpose? What if that's what Jasmy's all about? What if it's about the delivery and transmission and storage of your game saves and your data and your purchase records and everything that you do with the PS6? Like, what if that's the entire reason it exists? What's the value to that? You know what I mean? And you tokenize it, monetize it with the Jasmy coin, which you can then use inside Sony games in order to buy stuff or transact. And then there would be a burn that was involved. And I'm not saying that there is. I'm just saying that in the realm of where we are, with the people who are doing it, Jasmy seems like a fascinating project with a projected incredible opportunity. Whether it ever plays out that way, I don't know.
which is the same for every crypto, really. I mean, whether it plays out or not, that part, right?
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that because I was just reading today on a post on X. Someone had tagged Hara, and they were actually asking for an update on that very specific thing about the partnership with Sony and the moving into consoles and stuff like that. So it was something that Hara had brought up like 6 months ago, I think, and somebody was asking him for an update today on it. So that is something to be interested to kind of watch and follow.
And the thing is, like, what I don't like about cryptocurrency is that everybody feels like they're entitled to a pump. There's a pump entitlement in cryptocurrency. And look, when it runs, it runs. And I understand. I'm not saying this as if I'm, a multimillionaire sitting in a mansion trying to, just say, just chill out. I'm saying this in that you have to have a fundamental understanding of what it is that you're working with and what it is that you're doing, and an understanding that 95% of these things are not good projects.
Yeah.
And that to me means that Jasmine might not be a good project.
Mhm.
What if all these guys did all this stuff and they start doing it, and what if the work is subpar? What if the technology surpasses what Jasmine's doing? What if you have that's the crazy thing is you look at blockchain and you say that blockchain technology, again, SHA 256 is the gold standard by which you cannot crack, right? However, when you move to proof of stake and when you move to less secure versions, then you have more entry points, right? But let's just say, what if something like that Ghost Rad protocol? What if we find another version of a proof of work that uses a lot of security, but that has a ton of throughput and scalability, right? Well, you can't have scalability with the SHA, but if you were to layer like a Lightning network on top of it,
Mhm.
then maybe, just maybe, you can create something out of it, right? What if everything that we're doing is baby steps, even though, we go from hundreds of transactions a minute to millions of transactions a minute. Well, what if we could do billions of transactions a minute? And what if there's just the radical jump that's getting ready to happen in blockchain technology? Jasmine gets left behind, Polygon gets left behind. Some of the good ones are going to get left behind because technology is going to outstrip them, and nobody's even going to know it or see it coming. I mean, that's kind of how technology works, right? I mean, think about 9 months ago. Nobody gave a shit about AI. We thought that was a good pie in the sky future thing. And I mean, the world has changed in 9 months to the point that now we're like, well, we can't put this in robots, that's for sure. You know what I mean? Like, that's where we've gone in 9 months.
Yeah.
So, it's going to get wild. And, Jasmine might not make it. And some other tokens just might not make it because it doesn't matter how good they are right now. It's how good everything else coming after it is going to be. The only thing that you can say in this market that's fair, and I mean, we can be unfair about it, but the only thing that you can say in this market that is fair is that Bitcoin is the store of value that exists in this market. And that's it. That's it. That's all. That's it. If you want to make an argument that Ethereum is the future of the internet, I could take a reasonable argument for that. I would say that, as it moves to proof of stake, as the layer twos continue to evolve and build on Ethereum as the main snake, as the multiverse expands, then I mean, sure, like that let's say that's the internet. But after that, and any blockchains that build on that, and we don't need that many blockchains. That's the whole thing. Like, once we have enough blockchains, then I mean, what are we gonna do?
Yeah,
So, I just don't see this is not crypto's not going to be what everybody thinks it is in 10 years.
I agree. Yeah, 100%. And I don't think there'll be as much volatility either in 10 years as we have today. Once big money's in, and the toothpaste is out of the tube, right?
Well, yeah, if you consider the volatility index, Bitcoin is the top of crypto, but it's more volatile than the most volatile assets, which are commodities.
Yeah.
So um, that means gold, silver, and I mean, look at the wild price swings that you get with coffee beans and eggs. I mean, eggs are a commodity. Look at the price of eggs. They went from 99 cents a dozen to like $8 in 2 months when that bird flu took out allegedly, by the way,
Yeah.
75% of the population of chickens. And we're like, oh my God, because then they're telling us 75 million chickens are dead. And you're like, wow, that's like all the chickens are gone. And then you realize, like, wait a minute, how many chickens are there? And then you actually do the research and find out how many chickens there are. It's like 3% of the chickens. But it
Yeah.
was an opportunity for that price to be kicked up by the manufacturers, and you'll never see that price come back down to those previous levels. You're going to see deflation, by the way. You're about to see some crazy deflation in the market. Walmart issued a statement, by the way, for if you've been paying attention. Friday, Walmart issued a statement saying that they're expecting on their conference call, on their investor call, that they're expecting huge drops in prices, that in the last few weeks and months, they've been getting their goods at prices that they haven't seen since 2020. So you're going to start to see way lower prices filtering through this market. Inflation is about to come way down, but you also have to remember that bullwhip effect. So it could get even worse right afterwards. So it just it depends on where we are in the cycle. But price comes down. The Fed starts reducing rates. The Fed starts reducing rates. Bond yield comes down. And by the way, bond yield, when we talk about volatility, bond yield is the one that's not volatile at all, and it's offering a 5% yield. Why would you put your money like, look, you have to be either broke or out of your mind to put your money in crypto when you could put it into 5% bearing bonds of guaranteed money. I tell my people watching sometimes, like, if you have $10 million in capital sitting on the sidelines, you could live off of that for the rest of your life, but you could live off of that just with your bond yield every year and make $500,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
You could live. I mean, you're not going to be balling all around the world on it, but you could live a nice life with
Very.
just the money off of bond yields at this point right now. So just to consider that, that's safe. You're not going to lose there. So why bother with crypto? And if you're going to bother with crypto, let's put in 10,000, put in 20,000. You know what I mean? Don't like put in what a normal person would put in and just play the market. You know what I mean? There's no reason with 5% to even bother with cryptocurrency at this point. So now you have to move down, and we got to get under 3% before people are like, you know what, crypto is where it's at. Well, deflation and the coming down of the Fed, that's going to do that. That'll fix those problems, and we'll see tons and tons of money coming back into this market. And if deflation is the way that it is right now, and it comes down the way that Walmart is talking about right now, then we're going to see this run is about to get crazy, I think.
I was just going to ask you how crazy do you think next year is going to be? Because in my opinion, the ETF thing is going to happen in January. I think it's between the 10th and 15th or something like that is when they
The
happen.
10th, yeah. Yeah, the 10th is when the decision has to be made.
And then you have the halving right after that, a couple months later. Like,
Yeah, so when the ETF happens, we'll get a pump. We'll get pumps in between. We're going to 50,000 before the halving. I'm
mhm.
already sure. But and then we'll have like a tiny altcoin season because that's still on the table, and then the ETF will happen, and we're gonna get a pre-pump for the ETF. Okay, if we know that the deadline is January 10, the SEC owes everybody a hey, we approved it here on December 1st, is what they owe everybody. Okay. Otherwise, we are going to watch a parabolic sort of run up for the ETF announcement, knowing that it's coming. And then we're going to end up dumping super hard right afterwards. That's
Yeah.
how this is going to work. Then that's the trap there, and then we'll have the nice little run to about 60 days after the halving. Halving, I think, is scheduled right now April 27, maybe April 26 at this point, because we've had a lot of volume recently. So April 26th, 27th, and then halving happens, and then pretty soon miners are like, full of this, and miners stop selling anything
Yeah.
into the market. Miners will no longer sell, and then when miners no longer sell, then they're just minting new coin and keeping it, and they're waiting. You know what I mean? They're playing the long game, and that's what kicks off that run. So, May, June, it's gonna start looking like. And remember, the regular cycles, all that stuff is still going to apply. So, are we going to have a giant July? Probably not. It's probably going to be a nice little run right around the time of the halving. And then we're going to get on another nice little run at the second half of the year. Then we're going to dip down towards the end of the year, pay taxes, take money. And then the next year, 25, that's when things are just going to get absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, I agree. Where do you see the price around the halving of Bitcoin? Because I know that I agree with you because I watch your channel. You say you
Yeah.
think 1,000 for is that around the ETF time frame or is that around the halving time frame?
Give or take, we're going to pop 52,000 before the halving. Where it's going to be at the time of the ETF is probably closer to 52. So on the halving date, I mean, I would consider on the halving, there's going to be a FOMO build, and then there's going to be a dump. So the day of the day of it, 45,000 maybe, and then right afterwards, 30,000, 35,000, and then we just kind of range for a little while. You know what I mean? Like, just I consider it's going to just be wild price action. It's great for trading. Great for trading. But I think there's just going to be some wild action right now. The best I can tell anybody is when you see a dip, go long. Use short leverage. Don't use very tiny leverage. Don't over leverage yourself. Be prepared for some crazy volatility. If you 5x something on Bitcoin right now, and get in at 33, 34, you're going to make it. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of those spots right now where I think that, if we dip, we're not going below that. So I think that's kind of our floor at this range, and load the house at that bottom and then just let's go. You know what I mean?
Well, today I had told my followers about Tarax. I don't know if you how much you know about Taraxa. It's an L2. I guess similar in some ways to Cas, but anyway, I told them about it months ago, and yeah, like we're up since I talked about it in April, like 388%. So
Nice.
I told my members, yeah, I sold mine, moved it into some other projects, kind of thing, and yeah, like when you're up that much, it's gonna come down soon. So
Yeah, take your money. I mean, what I've been saying, what I try to say to people is, you don't owe a developer anything. What you owe is your wife, your kids, your life, your family. That's the people that you owe. You don't owe a developer anything. You take care of number one. You take care of yourself. And if most of these projects are going to fail, you're probably investing in a failed project anyway. Even though it may not be, but you consider it that way. I'm investing in what's probably going to be a failed project. I might as well take my money when my money starts to move.
yeah,
I was up about 45,000 in Bencoin, and I didn't take it out because I do business with them, I partner with them, stuff like that, and I was annoyed as hell by the whole thing because I was like, I could have cashed out, but I keep my wallet public for a purpose. I want people to, I want to be transparent. So I don't want people to see me selling on a chart. It's not good for my business model. I don't want, and to be fair, like, keeping my stuff private would probably be best for my business model, but I don't care. I want people to see, the honesty portion actually matters to me. So I want people to see what it is that I'm doing.
Ben had I believe at one point today it was up like 23% or something like that. I was looking at it earlier today.
No, it might be. Yeah, it might be having a good day. I'm long term on it, so it doesn't really matter what the price action is right now. The one that matters to me right now is WAGME, because I got a big bag in WAGME, and if WAGME has a nice little run and it doubles today, then I'll cash out all of it and wait for a dip because it won't sustain itself.
No.
So I'll wait for a dip, and then I'll double up the size of my bag if I can. Or if not, I'll get the same bag at a cheaper price and just keep the profits out and use it on something else.
Absolutely. I was doing a video call with one of my members today, and same thing. I told her about Tarax again. She bought into it back in April, and
Yeah.
back then it was falling. I was felt like every day it was going down, and she's emailing me, "What do I do? What do I do?" And I said, "Well, personally, I'm buying more." And then
Yep.
today, I talked to her, and she's just glowing because she's in such good profits, right?
Yeah. You got to have that patience. You got to have that faith in if good projects will do good things. You just the again you have to remember the getting becoming a millionaire on a single project. That takes $10,000 or $100,000. That's what that takes. You don't just get it from $100 or $106, whatever the stupid amount was from that one Pepe guy. It's one person out of 100 and something thousand investors, one guy.
But
So
I thought I heard that he couldn't actually cash it out though at the end of the
because he
day.
got blacklisted, that's right. um, that was the bad part at the end of it. But there were other people like that in SHIB too. Like there's going to be more SHIBs, but they're probably already existing and they probably already have a few $1 million market cap. So like I've always been a fan of Volt. I think Volt will have a nice little run. It's got a lot of functions, a lot of use cases. But if you got into it early, sure, it's going to be your SHIB. But otherwise, it's just going to be a nice 100x maybe.
I
You know,
see AJ was actually talking about a vault today.
yeah.
That it only has like a 600K market cap or something. So something like that, I guess, right? Like
Volt's like six. It's about 20 million.
no, VAULT. That's
Oh
what.
yeah, yeah. No, Volt, VOLT.
Yeah, yeah. I know Volt was around for a little while. I was
Yeah,
watching before, yeah. Well, we've only got about a minute left. And I don't want it to hang up on us again. I hope to get you on again. I'd like to hear updates on Bencoin.
yeah.
Uh, Trying to get more information out to my viewers about that. I pick some up myself, and again, I'm always watching your channel and stuff. I watch it twice a day. It's good when I'm at the office too. I'll throw it on and I'll sit there and listen to it while I'm on the keyboard.
Appreciate that. Let
Definitely,
me give you
guys.
the Ben flow as quickly as I can. Then,
Yeah,
if you're interested in Bencoin, here's what you need to know. Ben Armstrong is a wild man. Ben Armstrong, for good or for bad, creates people's emotions going one direction or another. He pulls your strings. He is all about attention economy. A man like that in a bull run is going to make something magical happen with whatever token he's behind. And Ben is behind Ben Coin. So it will have an amazing and an incredible run. Plus, all of the things that are coming along, including an AI wallet. You're going to be able to pay your cell phone bills with your Ben Coin. A lot of stuff coming down the pipeline that you're going to see very, very quickly, but don't fade Ben. That would be a big mistake because he's a crazy man and will take this thing crazy places.
I agree 100%. And that stunt he pulled with AJ the